Very good afternoon, participants. And I am C. Nidhi Singh, Secretary of Center for Audit Quality Directorate, and welcome you to this 26th Quality Cafe session on walk through the tools and utilities which have been developed by the board directorate. We have with us our convener, CA Pramod Janji, Deputy Convener, CA Vishal Doshi, sir, and our speaker for the session, CA N. Jayendran, sir. Over to you, Pramod Jan, sir.
Thank you, Nidhi. Namaste to all. I, along with our Deputy Convener, C.A. Vishal Doshi ji, welcome each and every participant to this very, very important 26th Quality Cafe. And in this Quality Cafe session, we will be discussing the 6 very, very important tools, the audit tools and utilities which have been developed by the Center for Audit Quality over the past 2 to 3 years, and which is very useful for all audit and assurance functions, including I would say, the certifications. And for that, we have got another our speaker today, and Jayendran ji. I welcome Jayendra sir, who has been very actively contributing to all these tools and utilities, and more importantly, on the audit quality maturity model. The 6 tools, if I talk about, apart from the bank branch audit tool, we have got the other 5 tools, which, because the bank branch audit tool is to be used at the time of bank branch, but the all other 5 tools, one of which is, I would say, recently developed. Thanks to all these tools, I thank Vishal Bhai, because he is the mentor for developing it. Is his all thought process, all vigilance, I would say, the deep diving which he does into creation of that background and then creation of that utility and tool also. So all that has been done by Vishal Bhai. I really thank Vishal Bhai for doing all that. So going forward, I'll request, before we give it to Jayendra sir, Vishal Bhai, to please explain in brief about all these 5 tools, because each and every tool is very, very important. I'll request all those who are listening today that they understand these, and not only they implement in their own firm, but tell other chartered accountants also who are into practice, because disseminating further, because the ultimate purpose of the Center for Audit Quality is to improve the audit quality. And unless we share and tell others to use it, the audit quality overall will not improve. So I'll request everyone to please do watch this whole today Quality Cafe session, and understand and implement, and let the other members implement. So I'll request Vishal Bhai to please share his initial views.
Thank you very much, Pramod Bhai, and a very good afternoon to all the participants who have joined virtually for this 26th Quality Cafe session on the walkthrough the tools and utilities developed by the CAQD. Special thanks to N. Jayendran ji, who has accepted our invitation and who will walk us through the tools and utilities that have been developed. And also a very good afternoon and thanks to Nidhi ji and the team at the CAQ, who has been instrumental in developing and testing all these tools and utilities as and when they were released. So at the outset, I would like to thank Pramod Bhai for being a great guide and mentor at the CAQD as the convener. And also, I would say that this year is the year of, I would say, certificates under Pramod Bhai, because we are working on multiple phases of the project relating to certificates. The first phase under his guidance and mentorship is over, where we have released a tool on the checklist of certificates, one of the tools is the checklist for the certificates issued by the CAs, which is in compliance with the guidance note of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And Nidhi ji would take us through this checklist. And friends, I'll also briefly just share that what was the thought behind each of these tools and how best as professionals, as practitioners, we can utilize these tools. So talking of this checklist for the certificates, the way it has been designed is that whenever any certificate comes to you as a practitioner for signature, our request or our objective was that this checklist should be along with that certificate that has come to you for signature, because the important aspects of the guidance note are getting covered. So the first sheet definitely madam would be explaining is whether that guidance note is applicable or it is some other technical literature which is applicable. And once that guidance note is applicable, subsequently whatever are the procedures, the use of an expert, the use of internal auditor, whether those procedures have been adequately been done by your office or not, and also on the important aspect of the certificate itself, whether they have been adequately been addressed in the certificate that has come before you for signature. So please do make maximum use of this checklist of certificates. Like I said, that it is for you that it becomes like a control mechanism, and also all these checklist friends finally would help you in the documentation exercise, in the documentation process. And even when a peer reviewer or a quality reviewer or even any other regulator would come to your office to examine your files, these checklists, these tools is what would help you in ensuring a complete set of the documentation. Needless to say, all these checklists have been prepared with the objective of improving the audit quality and improving the audit efficiency also. So the this is, I started from the reverse. In fact, this is the last tool that we have released just a couple of months back. If I recollect on the checklist for the certificates, and we are also working on some of the illustrative formats of the certificates, which will be released pretty soon. We are working. We have already internally, I would say, deliberated on 5 formats. We are working on more, and maybe the first set of illustrative formats for certificates would be of around 15 to 20 certificates, which we would be releasing hopefully by next month. So that was on the certificates and the checklist associated with it. The other tool, and something which took the maximum time, I would say, is the utility on the engagement letters. Friends, all of us know that the first document that has to get executed before we start any audit is the engagement letter. And Jayendran sir is there to explain the nitty-gritties, the importance of engagement letters. But this is the tool that took maximum time because it carries 5 templates or 5 formats of the engagement letters. One is for a listed company. The second is for an unlisted company where internal financial control reporting is applicable. The third is for an unlisted company where the internal financial control is not applicable. The fourth is for 3CA and the fifth is for 3CB. So collectively, all these 5 templates would cover almost 90-95% of the audits that any practitioner would be doing. And especially now, this being the season for the 3CAs and the 3CBs and all, our request, and this is the time that Pramod Bhai has selected, that the audit season would be coming. And therefore, this is the right time to explain, run you through, walk you through all these utilities so that they can actually be implemented in your offices during this audit season itself. So the utility on engagement letters is a very nice macros enabled utility where on a single click, you can generate 20, 30, 40 engagement letters also, and becomes a good repository of the engagement letters and the clients that you are servicing for your assurance services. The next I would give an overview is with respect to the review and monitoring tool for the standards on auditing compliance. Again, this is an Excel based tool, or I would say all our tools are Excel based tools so that they are easy to use, especially even at your subordinate, at your junior assistant level also, who can use these tools in your office. So this standard on audit monitoring tool is basically, as the name suggests, that with respect to each of the standards on audit from the ICI, the Auditing and Assurance Standard Board, we have come out with this checklist for implementation of the standards on audit, and that has been converted into an Excel tool so that for each client on a single click, by looking at the dashboard, you can come to know that what are the compliances that have been done with respect to the various standards on audit, and also what is the progress at each of for each of the activity under each of the standards. So that is on the standards on audit, the review and monitoring tool. The next is the utility on determining materiality, the fourth one that would be discussed today. So materiality, friends, as we all know, is a very important aspect of the audit. And in fact, in our audit opinion also we write that the financial statements are free from any material misstatement, and that is where the word material, it's very important for us to document what is the materiality. And I always ask this question that there is a query for rupees 10,000 that has been raised, that is not resolved by the client. Now, whether that would invite an audit modification or not, that would, it's only through the materiality quantification that you can either singularly or in the aggregate of all the misstatements, all the uncorrected errors and omissions, that you can find out whether it warrants an audit modification or not. And this becomes a very important document. And I would also request Jayendranji to share on the importance of the quantification of triviality, because many of the firms, audit firms, are still doing 100% vouching or maybe even 100% scrutiny or substantive testing, as we would say, whether that is required or not, and how this tool can be used to technically being correct, documenting, and at the same time ensuring that we as auditors do not do work which is otherwise not required under the standards on audit. So that would be something very important, and that is why I give a lot of weightage to this tool on materiality, which through the CAQD I believe is a boon for all of us, that we've got this Excel tool, and if we are able to implement in the right perspective, as Jayendranji would walk us through that, it would not only bring a lot of better audit quality, audit documentation, but also a lot of audit efficiency, because some of the tasks which we are not supposed to do, not expected to do, or which are redundant and which we are doing, you can do away with once you follow this particular materiality tool. And last but not the least is the utility on self-evaluation under the Audit Quality Maturity Model version 2.0 AQMM. Friends, it's something very important that as practitioners we need to do. We need to self-evaluate ourselves, our firms, our practice, our service line of assurance as to where we stand today, what are the areas for improvement. It is a self-evaluation tool that has come up, and recently at the council we have rolled out some more mandatory applications of this AQMM, which Jayendranji would be taking us through. But for this also we have developed an Excel tool where you can do a self-scoring and you can evaluate that where are the places that you need to, where you stand presently as a firm, and which are the areas. So if you look at the dashboard, the summary sheet, it gives a count of the number of places where you have as a firm would have scored 0. So that becomes an immediate reference point as to these are the areas that we need to improve as a practice unit, and ultimately improve the level of scoring and the level of maturity that the firm would have achieved. So this is sum and substance of the tools that we would be going through today. And I would use this platform, friends, that wherever you feel that there are tasks that are being done where you feel that you need support from the CAQD by having more such tool, more such checklists, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we would be more than happy to develop, to build upon your request, which would not be just for you, but for the fraternity as a whole, that would be useful. So once again, I welcome all the participants who have joined today, and I wish you all a very, very happy learning, and also a very, very fruitful implementation of these tools that the CAQ has developed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishal sir, and thank you, Pramod sir, for giving a brief introduction of this tool. Now, I would like to give a brief introduction of Jayendran sir. So, Jayendran sir is a partner in a mid-sized firm of chartered accountant handling tax, assurance, and consulting functions with over more than 35 years of experience in practice. So, Jayendran sir, over to you to explain the utilities in detail.
Sure. So this is a presentation which is prepared by the CAQD itself for the purpose of disseminating a common methodology for which the presentations are made. So I will briefly run through
on what these utilities are. And after that, I will take you as to how to download this utility, how to fill the utility, what are the nuances of the utilities. So this presentation was made before the certificate presentation was brought in place. So basically there are 5 tools apart from the certificate tool, which is recently launched. The first one is on self-evaluation under AQMM 2.0. So as you all know, AQM is mandatory for listed companies, insurance companies, and this thing. And now it has become mandatory for when you are doing the audit of the component of a listed company, may it be a holding company, subsidiary company, associate, or joint venture. For such entities, AQMM has become mandatory with effect from 1/4/2026. Therefore, if you are getting your peer review done after 1st April 26, if your peer review is due after 1st April 26, and you are an auditor of a component of a listed company, that is, you are either a auditor of a subsidiary, joint venture, as associate, or even of the holding company, which may not be listed, you are required to get yourself mandatorily verified for the AQM. You first do your self-evaluation, and then your peer reviewer will check whether your evaluation is up to mark, and then come to a level which I will explain when we are going through this process. The second utility is on engagement letters. As you know, SA 210 requires us to get into an agreement with the client as to what is the scope of our engagement, and also detail the fees in that. So this is a mandatory requirement. When a peer reviewer comes, he's going to ask each of us for the engagement letter, because that's part of his checklist for things to be checked. And therefore you are supposed to ensure that you have engagement letter for all the work that you take up. This engagement letter is the first document that you will enter into with the client after your appointment has been done. The third utility is for determining materiality. As explained by Vishalji, materiality is the amount after if an uncorrected misstatement crosses the materiality which has been identified by virtue of this tool, then you are required to modify your opinion. And for there are 3 parameters. One is a planning materiality, which is the materiality on the basis of which you will qualify. One is a trivial materiality, and the third one is the uncorrected materiality, basis of which you will be you have to start monitoring on the basis of that. The fourth tool is a monitoring tool for standards on audit compliances. So this tool has an Excel file. While today it is not a AI enabled Excel file, meaning that it doesn't check the quality of your input, but it only tells you whether you have updated the particular question with a appropriate answer. It doesn't judge the quality of your answer, but it only tracks whether you have answered those particular questions which are part of the standards on auditing for your compliance to the auditing standards. All of us, when we do audit, know for sure the accounting standards. We are more focused on accounting standards, and we take the auditing standards for granted, thinking that we all know auditing. But for the purpose of documentation and for the purpose of a report where we categorically state that we have complied with the auditing standards as dictated by the Companies Act, we are required to make sure that our documentation covers our auditing standards compliance. And that is where this tool comes into play. It helps you to make sure that your documentation is in place to ensure your auditing standards are updated. The fifth utility is for bank branch audit. This is more when you do the bank branch, it takes care of all the various formats. It asks you questions as to make sure that you have complied with the bank branch requirements relating to various activities in the LFAR and the normal bank branch. The last utility is on certificates, which will be explained by us when we as the session goes about. The first utility is for self-evaluation under AQMM 2.0. So AQM 2.0 is a significant step step forward in ICAI's ongoing effort to evaluate the standards on auditing practice. Basically, today there is no benchmark to determine the quality of the audit firm as to how much compliances they have done, what they have done, and what they have not done. And therefore, this tool helps us to find out what is the level of maturity that an audit firm has reached based on the compliances to various questions and various requirements of the maturity model. If these compliances are taken care of and you are adhering to them, basis that the model automatically evaluates what is the level of your firm. Basically, there are 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, where level 4 is the topmost level, which shows that you are there. And but as we all know, quality, there is no end to quality upgradation, and you have to go on improving your processes. But level 4 is the topmost level, where if you have got a score of 85% and more, you are a level 4. There are 4 sheets in the AQMM. I will take you through when we actually go through the download, etc. Each of these sheets, you have an answer which you have to put in your score. This is the maximum score. Basis these questions, you write your score, and you can write remarks. Why have you given this score? Basically for you and for the peer reviewer to understand what is the basis of coming to this score. Once this score has been done, it will automatically collate your score, and you will come to a sheet which is the summary sheet. The summary sheet will tell you at the end whether whether you are eligible or not eligible. We all know that in CA exams also, we have to get minimum score of 40 and we have to get an average of 50. Same principle has been applied here. We have to get at least 30% score in each of the section to be qualified. So 30% score in practice management assurance, human resource management assurance, human resource management and digital competency is mandatory. And your overall rating is based on your total score, combining all these 3 sections together. So that will determine what level of the firm that you are in. So if you are between 30 and 50, you're a level 1 firm. You're a very nascent firm. You will have to take immediate steps to upgrade the competency, or you'll be left lagging. 50 to 70 is level 2 firm. Indicate firm has made some progress. We'll have to fine tune further to reach the highest level of competency. 70 to 85 indicate firm has made substantial progress. We'll have to fine tune further to reach the highest level of competency. And 85 to 100 indicates firm that have made significant adoption of standards and procedures, should focus on optimizing further. As I said, there is no limit to our improvement. So while you are there in level 4, you have to go on optimizing your processes to become better and better. So as you see, if you do not get at least 30% in each of the section, you will not be eligible. And this tool tells you whether you are eligible, what your score is, and what is your level. I will take you through this tool. We'll take you right through the process of how to download it and how to take it forward. The next utility is on engagement letters. As I said, SA 210 requires engagement letters. This is a interactive tool. You update all your data of your particular clients, and it will generate engagement letters automatically, save it for you. All you have to do, print it in a letterhead, sign it, and get it countersigned by your client. There are some technical parameters required for the engagement letter. Basically, you have to enable macros, and when you download this, you right click the file and you check up whether you have unblocked the protection thing. Because if you have blocked the protection, because this runs macros, and if you have blocked the macros, then this program will not run. Therefore, you have to unblock this macros. And once you have unblocked the macros, automatically you fill up the data in the Excel file. You say generate engagement letter. It generates and saves it folder wise for each of the years. So you create your engagement, you create the Excel files like this, and automatically basis this Excel file, it generates the engagement letters. I'm running through this process at this juncture when I will practically take you through the Excel file and how these engagement letters are generated. The utility will create engagement letters separately in each of the folders. Separate folders are created for each financial year. In the respect of financial year folder, separate folder for each type of engagement letter template shall be created and engagement letter will be saved in such folders. Engagement letter template can be customized, but however, there are some highlighted portion which I will show you. You can't touch them because those are the fields where the data from your Excel files gets updated. While you can change the text of the non-highlighted field to suit your requirement, if you feel your English or you want to add something more, you can do that. But do not touch the highlighted portion because those are the parameters which gets updated from your Excel file. The next tool is for determining materiality. This is a very comprehensive tool, and honestly, this is my favorite tool because my office has been adopting this and we find it very convenient. So this materiality tool has a series of questions and requires you to answer those questions. And once you answer those questions, there is also a column for you to write reasons why you answer those questions. On the basis of that, you come to a total score of risk. Then you decide what is your low risk, what is your medium risk, and what is your high risk. And basis that, you will automatically determine what is the level of risk, whether it's a high level risk, low level risk. Then if you are a profit making company, you want PBT as your score, you apply this risk parameters to PBT. There are some set specified numbers, parameters mentioned to how to evaluate. Basis that it automatically computes what is your materiality. This materiality you apply whenever you have finished your audit and there is an uncorrected misstatement. They determine whether the uncorrected misstatement is material. If material, you have to modify your report. If it is not material, if it is trivial, you can ignore them. So there are a lot of data which has to be filled up. I will take you to the Excel file. It tells you, for example, if it's a new engagement, when the engagement is new, the risks are high. Therefore, you have to choose a 9 or 10, depending upon how comfortable you are with the engagement. A startup entities have less control, so therefore the risk is high. You should always choose high risk. So there's a column which has been added subsequently, where the reasons for you to select this risk parameters has been kept, where you can update the risk reason why you have done. So this becomes a holistic document as to why you chose this number, so that anyone who comes to read this will understand the basis on which you have concluded your materiality. Once you have completed materiality, there is one more sheet which covers your uncorrected mistakes. And once you update that, it will tell you whether your uncorrected mistakes are material or not material. And basis that, you decide whether you need to qualify or you need to treat them as trivial or what. The next tool is on review and monitoring tool for standards on auditing. The CAQ team is going to take you through this. I will leave it to them for you for explaining it. And the last tool is on bank branch audit. This is also being taken up by the CAQ team apart from the certificate thing. So I'll quickly take you through the Excel files, right? Move out of this program and let us first go to this is the browser. You go to the institute's website. This is the institute's website. Over here, you go to committees and you go to directorate. When you go to directorate, you find out Center for Audit Quality Directorate. Go to the directorate, and at the bottom of the page, you have tools and utility developed by CAQ. When you click on this, there are 6 tools which are checklist for certificates, checklist for evaluation of AQMM, bank branch audit, engagement letter, materiality, and tools and standards on audit compliances. So we'll first go to the engagement letter utility. You click on this. It will ask you your email ID. So I'll give my email ID. my name, my membership number, and my contact number. Once these parameters are fed in, you say submit, you will get a link. This link, you click on this link and you get this utility and engagement letter. You download this utility and it will go and sit in a download folder. From the download folder, you move it to wherever you want your engagement letters to be created. Now I have already downloaded this and kept it ready in the interest of time. So assuming that from the download folder, you have moved it to a folder which you may title it as engagement letter for clients. There you go into the utility on engagement letter. So your firm may either be an individual, partnership, LLP, or a proprietorship firm, right? My firm is a LLP firm, so I have created over here. Basically, there are templates. I told you there are certain highlighted templates. So we'll open one listed company for partnership template. This is a blank. So these purple ones cannot be touched. You may change any language here, but you cannot change the purple highlighted parameters in your file. So this engagement letter, if you do not like some language or you want to add some language, you can add some language without disturbing the purple parameters. So once this is done, so this is the engagement letter template. This is for a listed company statutory audit. Like this, you have a tax audit template, you have a 3CB template. Now this is the main file. So you are supposed to right click this file and look at the properties. In the properties, go to advanced and ensure that you are allowing the file to be, there are no controls. In my case, we have already allowed macros and there is no control, and that's the reason why this is not there. Otherwise, it will ask you to untick the macros disability. If you don't do that, it will not allow you to work. So I will open this Excel file. Say Excel file has a cover page. Instructions are given over here, what you need to do. And the main section, I have chosen 24-25 as a year. I have chosen ABC and Associates LLP as the name of the firm and the membership number as 121212W. So where if you want to create engagement letter for tax audit CA, you write down the date of signing of the engagement letter, date of appointment, which can be same or earlier, cannot be later. You will address it to the board of directors because it's 3CA, so you'll address it to the company, the client's name, so address lines, city, madam, fees, who is a signing partner, right? So I will add one more row for your comfort, and I will say that 24-25, we got the letter in August to do the tax audit. So I'll say on 18th 08-25. Sorry, I will shoot this on 01-09-25. I received the letter on 18-08-25. Okay, it's a company, so I'll address it to the board of directors. Name of the client is XYZ Limited. Address line is Port Street, Port, Mumbai. Sirs. Fees is say 1 lakh. Name of the signing partner is N. Jayendran. Right? Now, I select this also. I say select all. So I have created 2 letters. Now, once this is done, I go and say generate EL. The ELs are generated in the folders. Now, where are these folders? Where are these files created? Let's go back to our folder. You can see 2425 because I chose this utility for 2425. Under 2425, tax audit form 3CA has been created. In that, I go and see XYZ Limited, which is the second one which I just created. It automatically created September 1 was the date I gave. Board of Directors, XYZ, 4th Street, Fort, Mumbai. If you remember, I gave all this day information. And my fees is also will come automatically over here. Fees is 1 lakh exclusive of GST invoicing. And at the bottom, I'm signing as ABC and LLP Chartered Accountant and Jayendran Partner. And acknowledge on behalf of XYZ in terms of approval date by the Audit Committee Board of Directors signature. So this generates automatically. All I have to do is print this on my letterhead and sign and send it to the client for their signature. Similarly, I will show you one for the company audit. So I go to a listed company, right? Now here, on 1st January 25, I got it. Appointment letter dated was 1st January. DCE Limited is the name. This is the address. Fees is say 5 lakhs. Name of the partner N. Jayendran. Now it tells you, see, we all know that the appointment is done for 5 years. So I am assuming that I'm not the first auditor, I am the second auditor. So I've appointed in the 6th year. Automatically it will add 5 and make it till the 11th year. The AGM date is, this was an EOGM because the earlier auditor resigned, let's assume. So AGM happened on 31/12/2024. Audit period is 01/04/2024 to 31/03/2025. Half year is 30/09. It's an appointment, not a reappointment. Basis that the language changes. Is there consolidation? Yes, there is consolidation. Are there subsidiaries? There are 5 subsidiaries. Now I do this, I generate EL. So if you see, the EL is automatically generated. Okay, I go and see the EL. Go to 2425, listed company. I will find DCE Limited as the letter. This has been addressed, right, in the EGM held on 31/12 scope. Now see, they have the template allows AGM and EOGM. In their case, if it's AGM, you may at this juncture do a strike through for this or even delete it. That is your call. EOGM was held, as I said, that this is a earlier auditor resigned. That's why I've taken 1st January as a date. Go down here. It covers all the internal financial controls. Check everything is covered in this. This is prepared by the institute, so all care has been taken to be in conformity with the requirement of the standard SA 210. Fees are brought 5 lakh rupees over here. ABC Limited and Jayendran Partner on behalf of DC Limited. So this letter is ready. Print on a letterhead and you are ready to go. So this tool makes our life easy and takes care of all the requirements of the requirement to prepare engagement letter. You don't have to break your head as to language. The language has been pre-decided by the institute. As I said, if you like to improve on the language, you can improve on the language without touching the highlighted fields, because the highlighted fields are correlated with the Excel file that you have generated. The next tool, so this is how the engagement letter is created. As I said, the engagement letter can be created for the following types of audits. Quickly, I'll show you the different types of audits. For Form 3CB, that is where you're giving a true and fair view, unlisted company, and for unlisted companies with IFC. So depending upon what it is, listed companies have IFC mandatorily, unlisted companies may have IFC or not have IFC. Unlisted company which doesn't have IFC, you'll use here. You fill up the data over here, generate the EL, your ELs are ready. You can use the same tool next year also. When you go and you say main, change the year to 25-26 and use this tool. It creates fresh set of requirements for next year. Since you're appointed for a period of 5 years for companies, you are not required to issue engagement letters every year unless you're changing some terms of the engagement. But otherwise, it's to be done once in 5 years only. But tax audit you have to issue every year because tax audit is a single year assignment. So please remember that when you are appointed in the AGM for 5 years, one engagement letter is good for 5 years unless you are modifying the terms of the engagement. So I'm saying don't save at this junction. So this was so far as the utility and engagement letter is concerned. Similarly, let us go to the website of CAQ. And now I will show you the same way you have to evaluate utility for self-evaluation, the AQMM. This is only for information. There is nothing connected with your thing over here. This is only for information to make sure the only bona fide members of institute are downloading this.
So while you are filling up, I'll just like to inform members that EL utility, you have to enable macros. Most of the members are facing problems. They are not able to use the utility. So the
Correct.
detailed instructions are again given in the file
Excel
itself
file.
in the second sheet. Yes.
Yes. Is there in the
So you
Excel
have
file?
to,
There is, let
yes,
me tell you one thing. I have an Apple Mac. There is some problem with the Apple Macs. It does not work with Apple Mac, but it works very well with a Windows machine.
but they have to read the instructions regarding macros very well.
Yeah.
And secondly, sir, they have to unzip all the folders before using. So you have to unzip all the folders.
So once you click, it automatically unzips it. So that much I think everybody knows. So once you click on the downloaded file, automatically you please move it from the download folder to your folder's name that you want. You click it, automatically creates 3 subfolders. You click on that, it unzips all the files. At that point of time, if there's some blockage, you unblock it using the properties. So all those instructions there in the Excel file itself. Just follow those instructions. You will be able to use the macros. When it asks you enable macros, please say yes. Macro and also enable editing. Your Excel file may be not having the enable editing. You have to click on enable editing. Automatically enables macro also. Then it will work.
Just a couple of points on the engagement letter utility. One, like Jendran sir said, that once you click on the button and say generate EL, the subfolders would automatically, the macros itself would create it. So let us say it is for financial year 24-25, this time right now that all of us would be generating the engagement letters. So once you click on the generate EL, in the folder where you have all these the unzipped files that are stored in that folder, first a folder would get created of 24-25 automatically. When you click on 24-25, inside that, whichever there would be, typically I presume that if you have all the 5 ELs, there would be 5 folders inside the 24-25 folder for each category of the templates, and under each of the folder you will find the word files of the engagement letters. So all this is being automized. You don't have to do anything on those things.
Yeah. So depending upon your class of your firm, as he said, see 24-25 listed. We created 2. One was listed company and 3CA. So there are 2 subfolders: listed company and 3CA. Once you update the entire list for the whole listed companies, it will generate in one shot and create multiple files inside it. Like for example, in the case of 3CA, I had created two files. So there are two letters over here. In the case of listed company, I had made only one line item, that only one letter was there.
Correct. And another thing that many times what happens is when we send the engagement letter, there is a change, let us say it is addressed to whom or in the address or certain things. And the client asks for request for a fresh engagement letter with the correct details. In that case, you can go in that Excel file, edit that field. You need not create a new record of that. You can easily edit that particular field, unselect all the fields, just select that one engagement letter which you want to generate. And please ensure that the original Word file and everything is closed. Once you generate that single letter, engagement letter, it will override the earlier letter with the updated details. So this is also we have done to ensure that you do not have to create multiple files, and then we get confused that for one client there are 3 or 4 engagement letters that are there. So you can keep overwriting, and whatever is the final version you can keep as part of that. So that facility also has been provided in this utility. Thank you.
Yeah. So this I'm showing you how we are creating for a materiality file, the AQMM file. Give the data as all utilities requires you to fill up this Google form. Once you update this Google form, everything it's mandatory to fill up this Google form. You say submit over here. It will automatically show you a link. Click on the link. Now in this case, it opens this file in an online Excel portal. Now you cannot work over here. You need to make a copy. So go to file and create a copy. And here you say download a copy. Once you download a copy, it will download the copy again into the download folder in your machine. From there, you move it to wherever you want it and start working on that. I have downloaded it and I moved it to this folder over here. CAQ Cafe folder, and this is a self-evaluation tool. So this is the cover sheet. This is a self-evaluation tool, right? Now here you keep filling up the information based on your parameters. And once you fill up the information based on your parameters, you give your score. You can write the reasons why you have given this score. Okay. You can say that you can write whatever you like. Why you gave, yes, I have a format. Why you gave 8 marks? Because I have not updated for one of these things. Why you gave yourself 12 marks? You can give your reason so that you also remember why you gave yourself this point. And when this file is shown to the peer reviewer, he will also know why you gave yourself this point. He'll be able to appreciate without much of explanation from your side. While this is not mandatory, it is recommendatory. It will help you to decide why you did this. Once I am not taking you through what is AQMM because that itself is the entire 2 hours presentation. But I presume that all of you know what AQMM is. And once this is the tool only to help you collate your data, you don't have to make your own Excel file. This Excel file takes care of everything. Whenever you give yourself score, otherwise you will have to sit and prepare the Excel file. The CAQ has prepared this Excel file for you. All you have to do is give yourself the score and preferably write reason so that you also know why you gave yourself this score and the peer reviewer also knows why you gave yourself this score. Basis this, you can write all your score over here, and once your scores are given, the summary file will update, right? So now take for example, the total score is for 380 for the purpose of the maximum score is given over here. So let's go the maximum score for each of the section. For the practice management, the maximum score is 370. No, it's more. Yeah, 370. For HR, it is total score is 150. And for digital competency, the total score is 80. The total is 600. Now, out of this 600, your total score in this case is 408. And this score is collated here. Final score is 147. Minimum eligibility is 111, which is 30% of 370. And on the basis of that, you are eligible or not eligible, it's finalized here. You have totally got 306 out of 600. Your score is 51%. So you're a level 2 firm. Right? Now let's go and change some scores over here. Let's assume that you do not get good scores over here. Let's go to HR and reduce the score in HR. I do not have all of these things, right? I don't have this. 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 So I have got 27 marks. When I go here, I am not eligible because I got less than the minimum score, right? Since I got less than minimum score, out of 150, I have to get 45, less than minimum score, it automatically says I'm not eligible. The minute I have improved myself and I give myself score, I give 4 here, I give 4 here, I give 4 here, I give 15 here, I have become 54. Yeah. I give 14 here. I have crossed the threshold. Automatically, I am eligible, but my score is below 50, so I'm a level 1 firm. So this tool helps you to evaluate self, giving reasons over here. You don't have to sit and prepare an Excel file from the AQM document. This Excel file has been prepared. You give your scores over here, and basis the score, it automatically tells you what is the eligibility and what is the level. And this file can be printed and shared with your peer reviewer. You can add extra columns here to say what is the peer review score, or he can write yes or no and reduce your score. Accordingly, he can either approve your score or not approve your score. But this is for self-evaluation. This tool is for self-evaluation. As I said, you need to make a copy of this file. Do not work directly on the link which comes when you click after you have filled up the Google form. That is the online version. You will not be able to save and work on it. You create a copy, download a copy, it gets downloaded to the folder, which is download folders. Move it from there to wherever you want AQMM evaluation folder. Move it there, update this. And you can go on updating this to improve your processes so that you reach where you want to reach. So this was so far as the AQM tool was concerned. I hope everybody knows what AQM is and how to fill up the score. The CAQ has also issued a implementation guide on AQM 2.0, which explains how the scoring is to be done and what are the minimum requirement to get a score. So kindly go through the implementation guide to see how the scoring is to be done, and basis that give yourself critical score, so which will get accepted by the peer reviewer. And where you are not meeting a criteria, you can work to improve and work on those criteria. And if you have achieved those criteria, you can update the score and upgrade your level also. The next item which I'm going to take up is materiality. As I said, this is one of my favorites. Same way, give your score over here. right? Here also, let me do it. It will take a minute. Excepting for the engagement data where you have to download and there's no methodology to work directly. The others you will have to create a copy and then work. And I'm showing you this only for that purpose, how to create a copy. You get this, go to the submission. You get a tool over here. Don't use work on this tool. Go to file, which is there on the screen. If everybody can see the screen, go to file, go to create a copy, download a copy. It gets downloaded to your download folder. I have moved it from the download folder to the place where I want to work. And this is my materiality document. I open this materiality file. So this is the materiality file. This file also has a guidance, how to fill up, what has to be done. I would advise you to go through these guidance, right? It also details what are the steps to be taken, how we have to do, what are the benchmark which can be done, total revenue, total asset, net profit, normalized PBT, total expenses, total equity, depending upon type 70 profit oriented entity, you would like to go via profit. Not for profit, you'll go on the basis of the objective. Debt finance, you'll go on the basis of debt funds. Volatility in profit, you may go on the basis of EBITDA. Liquidity, you may go on the basis of liquidity crisis. So depending upon what is your type of company and what is according to its materiality, you will decide and choose the materiality. Now, how do you compute materiality? So this is a document which helps you compute the materiality, right? So as I said, if it's a new engagement, and if it's a new engagement of an industry which you have not done audit earlier, your risks are high. So if you say it's a high risk, there are drop downs over here. So if it's not a new engagement, you're a continuing thing, you can say not applicable. Once you say not applicable, change the score. It will become 0. Right? But if it's a new engagement you're doing for the first time and it's a first time of an industry that you have not done, go to high risk and choose the topmost score. Because if you have done an industry, for example, you already done pharma company and it's a new pharma company, you know the nuances. So you may give yourself 8 marks because you don't know the controls in the company, but at least you know the nuances. But if it's an industry you're doing for the first time, I would recommend to give 10. So if I give 10 and I'll give reasons over here, new client and new industry for us. So this is why I gave 10 marks, right? If it's a startup, then you say that very nascent startup, right? Significant concern, identify client acceptance. If it's a low risk, why you say that? You say that the KYC was proper. You can say proper KYC and background check. Doubt on integrated management. If it's a new, you may want to doubt on the integrity. So you have to be very sure that why you're answering this. So you may say high risk because you may have to doubt the integrity. As I said, शक करना हमारा पेशा है, right? As auditors, we need to be skeptic. शक करना हमारा पेशा है. We'll have to always doubt and clear our doubts to be sure that the data is reliable. Choose 8 score over here. Write down this, that. Write down no prior information of the integrity. So that is the reason why you give yourself 8 marks. Concerns about this thing. So you can say new audit and hence concerns, right? Effect on the internal control. Now, if supposing there's a good internal auditor and you have seen his report, you may come to a low risk over here and give yourself a score which can be maybe 3. And you say, okay, good internal audit coverage and scope. So this is the reason why you give less mark over here, right? Now, ongoing investigation. Supposing there is an ongoing investigation against the company, the risks are high. There is a regulatory oversight of this company. There has been income tax raid over here. There has been some other notice come from some other regulatory department. You will want to give a high risk. Supposing there has been no investigation, you can give not applicable, change the score to 0, and say there are no ongoing investigations. Now, there is a newspaper article on this company that there is a data concern, somebody has raised some queries, there is some whistleblower complaint, etc., etc. If there's a negative publicity to this company, for example, we all know classic cases which come in the newspaper. So if there are such negative publicity and you have been appointed to do the audit, you will want to give a high risk to the entity. So if there is no negative publicity, you can give not applicable and rate and give it a 0. The entity maintains low profile and no negative publicity. So this way you can fill up each of these scores and give reasons why you have filled up this score. So basis this, you have come to a score of 59 as your overall risk, right? Now this has been left to your firm. So you can, what we normally do, we call 0 to 30 as low risk, 30 to 50 as medium risk, and anything above 50 we call it high risk. But you may have a different parameter. This has been left to the wisdom of the firm by CAQ. This is your definition of overall risk of material misstatements. So ideally 0 to 30 can be low risk, medium can be 30 to 50, and anything above 50 can be high. But if you want to keep it 60, you can keep 60. You want to keep 70, you can keep 70. But you should be clear that this is your firm's policy, basis that you decide on the risk. Once you've done this, this entity is 59, which falls in a high risk, right? Now here, my parameter is PBT. My profit before tax is 4 crores. So since my risk is high, it is anything above 5 and less than 7. So I will choose 5%. The lower I choose, the better, the more is the risk that we are worried about. If you keep a higher number here, then you are willing to ignore numbers, right? If I keep a 10% over here, then my materiality becomes 40 crores or 40 lakhs. But if I keep 5%, my materiality becomes 20 lakhs. So be conducive in giving these numbers. Give the lowest between them unless you are sure why you want to give a higher number. Okay. And here it is, document rationale for selecting percentage. Okay. So since a new entity, 5% has been considered, right? Now, overall risk is 20 lakhs. This again is your parameters. I would like to keep 50% as a performance materiality. So I will make sure that all transactions above 10 lakhs, I will definitely check up for the purpose of performance. And anything below 10%, which is 2 lakhs, I may treat them as trivial. So this is your materiality. Overall materiality is 20 lakhs, performance materiality is 10 lakhs, and 2 lakhs is the trivial materiality. Now, on the basis of this materiality, you get this thing signed off. You can give reasons over here. There are papers, document any other reasons. You want to document something, why you have prepared this, what basis you have prepared it. You take all of these things. And this document is then complete for the purpose of your materiality, right? Get this document printed, signed by the engagement partner and the engagement head, how you have determined, and keep it with you. Once it is done, you will have to find out what is the calculated material misstatements. Your material determine is 20 lakhs and 10 lakhs. So if there are known errors, which are errors corrected in books, there is no problem. uncorrected error. So supposing there's an error of 25 lakhs, which is uncorrected. Client says, मैं नहीं correct करूँगा, right? Then based on materiality, total of uncorrected errors is 25 lakhs. Giving the reason why you can write every one of them, and the total is coming to 25 lakhs. Now, since your 25 lakhs total uncorrected materiality is there, and your material is 20 lakhs, you may have to qualify this report, right? Because the uncorrected mistake is above your materiality of 20 lakhs. So you have to not only determine materiality, and afterwards, generally, in our case, most of these corrections get corrected, right? But in case there is something that the client does not agree, then you have to determine whether his non-agreement, is it material or not material. If it is material, you have to tell them that this is material and therefore I will have to modify my report. As SA 705 says, you are supposed to inform those charged with governance that before you send your final report, you send them a draft report telling them that you're going to modify a report and this is the basis. So if based on modification, if they correct that error and give you fresh financial statement, then this answer will move from uncorrected error to corrected, and then you may not modify this report. So this document is a holistic document to say how you finalized. Make sure to fill up all of these things as the rationale, why you chose this, and determine at firm level what is your low risk, what is medium risk and high risk. And then depending upon what kind of this, for example, if you're a profit oriented, there are various options. For example, you may be a entity which is into right now construction, in which case it will be based on maybe on the basis of fixed asset purchased. So there you may want to keep a lower number, not 5% also. That choice is yours. So this column is left to you. It is not open. It is not hard coded. These are indicative rates. Look at the title, suggested materiality range. These are indicative rate. But if supposing you choose, say, debt financed, so you'll go on the basis of net one. Automatically, your ROM goes on from 1 to 1.3. Because at 1% also of your net asset value can be material. So if your total asset size is 440 crores, so you need to choose the recommended is greater than 1 and less than 1.3, you choose 1%. So automatically it's 40 lakhs. You can say that the entity is in construction phase and hence net asset has been considered. So this is a rationale why you chose net asset. So you need to, anything that you do, if you know documentation standard, it category says your documentation has to be such that another qualified auditor should be able to understand your document without you having to explain to him. You are not allowed to explain your documentation. The documentation should be so perfect that any other qualified auditor is able to understand your processes, but just by looking at your file, you don't have to take him through what you have done. It should be all self-explanatory and documented in such a manner. So therefore, everything that you do, it is always better to write down the rationale. And that is the reason why, based on discussion in 2.0, we have added this reason for choosing the level of risk, so that the reader or the reviewer knows why you chose these numbers. So basis this, 40 lakhs is the materiality. This numbers may not change. 4 lakhs, and if you're on a 40 crores, if there's any mistake of 4 lakhs, it is not material, it's trivial. So we may ignore it. So basis this, your audit programs can also be designed accordingly, where you can choose all transaction above 20 lakhs to be compulsorily vouched, because they may have an impact on your materiality. And anything below 4 lakh, you may only do a test check for as a walkthrough to ensure that smaller items also have the same level of controls. So this is how you determine materiality. You choose the methodology on the basis of what you do. Normally, a profit-making company, we go by profit-oriented, and therefore here the ROM automatically changes to 5%, right? If you come to a low risk, then you can choose 10% also. Because you know that controls are in place, you consider everything as low risk, automatically you can choose 10% also. So therefore, your maturity also goes on because you know that there's a maker checker, internal controls are in place, everything is that you know existing person, it's not a new entity. So once you update this, automatically your totals may come below 30. If it comes below 30, it's a low risk, and therefore you may choose 10% as your maturity. Once you determine the maturity, your uncorrected errors are to be updated here, and on the basis of this, you will determine whether you need to modify your report or not modify your report. So these are the three utilities that I was to take you all through this session, and I hope I have been able to explain how these utilities have been downloaded and how they are to be filled up and what is the rationale behind each of these utilities. Most important thing, you may need to make sure that in case of engagement letter, there are macros used. So if you don't enable macros, it will give an error. There are certain software which are required in a Mac, and therefore it will not work on a Mac very easily unless you have an IT head who can help you with it. But on a Windows, it works very smoothly on a Windows machine. Most of the audits are done in Windows machine. So in a Windows machine, it works very smoothly, and there should not be any problem in using the software in the tools.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Nidhi madam, are there any questions that are there for Janjan ji from the participants, from the audience?
Yeah, just a second, sir. Yeah, regarding this EL utility, what member is asking, is it necessary to sign each and every page, or is it okay that we sign the last page?
It is advisable to initial the pages, which we always do because, as I said, we don't want any pages to be replaced in between. Skepticism is part of us, so we will always initial even when financial statement the director sign only those 4 pages, we initial every page to make sure that no pages are changed in between. So you have to take care. This same thing applies to our engagement letters. So we advise initialing every pages and only the last page is to be signed.
Right. And one member is asking how can we use it in case of joint audits?
So engagement letter will be signed in case of joint audit in the same manner, but there will be a separate agreement with the joint auditor under SA 299. And on the basis of that engagement, that agreement within the joint auditors, you will decide who is going to do what scope. And those are countersigned by the client also because they also need to know who is doing what scope. Ultimately, the responsibility is joint and several, but the scopes are defined very clearly. So there is a separate agreement as per SA 299 on joint audits. The engagement letter will remain the same over here.
Right. And yeah, one member is asking regarding the flow chart of steps. So they can refer to the instruction page. They'll get
Correct.
the flow chart of steps.
Yeah, the
from
steps
there.
are very clearly clarified in the engagement. Just give me 1 minute. I'll show you the steps. It's quite exhaustive.
In all the utilities, the steps are given, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The entire steps are given over here. Step 1, unblock. What is it? Everything is explained in the utility. Whatever I explained over here, everything is explained in the utility also in the Excel file. All you have to do is answer these and make sure the macro settings have been disabled, have been enabled. So all utilities have got an instruction set. You can understand exactly what has to be done.
Right. Yeah. So these are the questions, sir.
Yeah. So the team from CAQ will take up the other three utilities.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'll take you, sir,
Janjan,
Vishal, sir, you have something? Huh.
Yeah. I think he has to leave at 4:30. So
Hmm.
on behalf of the CAQ, would like to thank Janjan sir for sparing his time, helping members in walking through the three utilities in a very detailed manner, responding to the questions. And last but not the least, always being available for the CAQD. Let me tell you, friends, that the AQMM version 2, he has spent hours and hours on this to see that it sees the light of the day. A lot of suggestions, a lot of valuable inputs, which would help the fraternity, which would help the firm scale up the maturity level Jayendran sir has given, and he's always available for the CAQD. So thank you very much, sir. And we look forward for your contribution. We will keep nagging you for your time at the CAQD, because we have lots of things on hand, and we will definitely
Anything for
work
the
with you.
alma mater. Anything for the alma mater.
Thank you. Thank you, Jayendran sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next is the utility of a checklist to be used in case, just a second, sir. Yes, the utility for checklist for issuance of certificates by chartered accountants. So I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so this is the utility. You have to download the utility from the CAQ page as explained by Jayendran sir. After filling in the form, and you will get a link, you can download the utility from there. And this I have already downloaded it on my desktop, and accordingly I am explaining it to you. So this illustrative checklist has been prepared based on the guidance note on reports or certificates for a special purpose, which is issued by the institute and represents an initiative by the Center for Audit Quality to help members comply with the requirements of the guidance note. And the document has been compiled on a best effort basis, and users are advised to refer to the guidance note when applying the illustrative checklist in practical situations. So this utility has four sections. The first is the index part. The second is the applicability, section A. The next is section B, which gives you the procedure checklist. And last one is section C, the completion checklist. All these have been prepared from the guidance note on reports or certificates, which is issued by the institute. So this is the index sheet. It is a important sheet as it has references to working papers, which helps you in to facilitate the documentation, and it would also enable tracking of any certificate which you have issued in the past, also the name of the partner who has signed that particular certificate. So in this sheet, members have to enter the name of the client, the certificate number, subject of the certificate, purpose of the certificate, and if it has been issued under any law or regulation, for instance, say FEMA, so they have to mention the law or the regulation. Then the date of the signing of the engagement letter, name of the signing partner, then the engagement period starting and ending. Then point number 10, 11, and 12, members don't have to fill these points. They are auto-populated when once you fill section A, B, and C, which I'll explain when I'll explain the respective sections. Next is you have to enter name of the partner who is verifying the checklist, date of issue of the report or the certificate, reference of the working paper file name number, date of generation of UDIN, the UDIN, then the fees excluding GST, and the invoice number which you have raised for this particular assignment, and the invoice date. So this is the index. Now coming to the next is section A regarding applicability. The guidance note itself says that in what situation the guidance note is not applicable, and there are other assurance standards which are to be referred to and which have to be followed in certain situations. So those situations are stated in this part of the section regarding applicability. So the points, I'll just take you through those. Suppose the engagement you are performing, it pertains to issuing a report for audit or review of historical financial information. Then in such case, SRE would be applicable, and accordingly, here you have a drop down where you have to select yes or no. Suppose the engagement pertains to this SRE, you have to select yes, or else you have to select no. I'm selecting no from here. Then this is given in the para number 1 of the guidance note on reports or certificates. You can refer to the same. The next point is whether the engagement to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information. The engagement which you are performing falls under this. Then you have to refer to SRS 4400, engagement to perform agreed upon procedures. And again, if you select yes, you have to refer to those procedures, and the hyperlink of that particular standard is given over here. You click this and it will take you to the respective literature on the ICAI website. So you can get the detailed procedure of from there. But here we are, because more concerned with this guidance note, so accordingly we will say no. Next point is whether the engagement, does this engagement pertain to assisting the management with the preparation and presentation of historical financial information without obtaining any assurance on that information? Again, for this, we have SRS 4410 on compilation engagements, which for which you can refer to the detailed literature by clicking in here. I again select no. Then whether this engagement is an assurance engagement for which subject specific standards on assurance engagement have been issued by ICAI. So these are SAE 3400, SAE 3402, and SAE 3420. If the engagement falls under these perspectives, so you have to select yes, otherwise I'm selecting no from here. So when I select no for all these sections, it means that the guidance note is applicable, and accordingly I can go to the next section on procedure checklist. Kindly proceed to the next section and refer to the guidance note on reports or certificates for a special purpose. So I'll proceed to the next section. Before going forward, I'll come back to the index sheet and show you that now this automatically becomes yes, which means that yes, the guidance note is applicable in this particular assurance you are rendering certificate which you are going to issue. Now coming to the procedure checklist. Now you can see there are 26 unanswered questions, 0 where no answer is no, and 0 where not applicable answer is there. Now when we start this procedure checklist, we'll again take you to the index sheet to refer to those points. So this is the procedure checklist, which lists the various procedures which you have to follow when you are issuing a certificate. And as the guidance note is quite detailed, we have tried to just pick up the important paras from there according to the procedures which you have to follow. And the detailed guidance note is given over here. You can click over here and it will give you the detailed guidance note. The para references of the guidance note are here. So you have to simply select whether these procedures have been followed or not. And you have to take care that all these procedures have been basically followed before you are issuing a certificate. There is a cell for remarks also if you want to give your remarks over here. So taking you to the procedure checklist, we'll see whether the quality control requirements as applicable for assurance engagements have been complied. So you have to select yes or no from here. This is given in para number 17 of the guidance note. The next point is whether the following engagement acceptance and continuance procedures have been followed. So whether these procedures have been followed or not, you can get a detailed reference under para 18 to 23, and then you have to select yes or no from here. Next is whether the objectives of the engagement have been clearly identified and agreed with, and the same have been documented through an engagement letter. So you have to select yes or no. References are here, para number 12 and 24. Then whether it is a reasonable assurance or a limited assurance certificate is being issued by here. So you have to accordingly select. Say, suppose we are issuing a reasonable assurance certificate. Now, next point is whether the subject matter is made up of a number of aspects. suppose I say ki yes, it is made up of a number of aspects. So we have to see whether we are issuing a combined report or a separate report for each aspect to be covered. So the options given here are whether we are issuing a combined report or a separate report. Suppose I select a combined report. So we have to see whether the opinion or conclusion in positive form or a conclusion in negative form on different aspects is appropriately provided in the engagement letter. Suppose I say yes. Now coming again, if the subject matter is not made up of a number of aspects and we select no over here, so this will automatically get logged and it would say not applicable. And this again will say not applicable. So we have to fill this over here. So the utility has been designed in such a way that you don't have to see. Once you fill over a yes over here, accordingly, it will give you an option to select a combined report or a separate report, and you don't have to ponder upon further to see whether it is not applicable or not. Next point is whether professional skepticism and professional judgments have been applied in order to ensure that appropriate inquiries have been carried out with relevant personnel, senior management, or members of those charged with governance, as the case may be, and also during the performance of the engagement. Again, you have to select yes or no from here. Next, whether the planning for the engagement has been done, setting the scope, timing, and direction, and considering the nature, timing and extent of procedures to be performed. References para 37 to 40. Then the next procedure is the mode of testing, whether it is a test check basis or whether 100% testing is being applied. So what is the mode of testing applied? Suppose I select a test check basis, then it will take you whether materiality concerns have been checked or not. So if test check basis, whether it is ensured that appropriate materiality level covers the qualitative and quantitative factors and also reflects the information needs for the identified intended user of the certificate. You have to see whether it is done or not. I say yes. Now, but if you select 100% check testing basis, then this will not be applicable in such a case. Next is whether the practitioner has obtained understanding of the subject matter of certification, inquiries of the applicable laws and regulations, internal audit functions, and use of experts by an entity. You have to select yes or no. Now, in case of a reasonable assurance, as you know that under point number 3, we have selected yet we are issuing a reasonable assurance certificate. So here again, this is a reasonable assurance. So we have to see whether these two procedures as per the guidance note have been followed or not. And I suppose say, yes, I have followed these procedures. Limited assurance, this will not be applicable because we have selected reasonable at point number 3. So this would not be applicable in such a case. Next is whether the practitioner has determined changes or additions to the procedures to resolve the following matters and consider the effect of the same, if any, on the other aspects of the engagement. So accordingly, we'll select yes, no, or not applicable. If this is not applicable, you can select not applicable, or else I'll say yes. Then whether the practitioner has accumulated uncorrected misstatements identified during the engagement other than those that are clearly trivial and determine the effect of the misstatement on the assurance report. Again, I select yes. Now, where reliance is being placed upon the work of the expert, whether these following procedures have been followed or not. Now, help of expert is taken or it has not been taken. If it has not been taken, we can say not applicable, or else we have to see the procedures are followed or not and we select yes. Now again, whether the reliance is being placed on the work of another practitioner or an internal auditor, whether these procedures have been followed or not. Again, the option is yes, no, or not applicable. I say yes, suppose. Next is regarding the opinion, whether sufficient appropriate audit evidence is obtained to support the opinion in case of a reasonable assurance or a conclusion in case of a negative assurance. So whether the report issued has an unmodified opinion is given or a modified opinion. If it is unmodified opinion and I select yes, this will automatically become not applicable. But if I say, suppose I'm not giving an unmodified opinion and I select no, so it can be either a qualified qualified opinion, an adverse opinion, or a disclaimer of opinion. Accordingly, I can select. But suppose I again say no over here, so I'm not giving either a modified or an unmodified opinion. In such a case, the guidance note says that the practitioner has to reconsider whether he has to consider whether he is withdrawing from an engagement. So I say yes. Now the next point is where the format of the assurance report is prescribed under any law or regulation. Suppose it is prescribed under FEMA and we are issuing a certificate for that purpose. So point number 13 relates to that. In that case, we have to see whether these procedures have been followed or not. All the relevant paras of the report as prescribed by the guidance note are incorporated in addition to the layout or the wording so prescribed by the law. I say yes. Now, in case the concerned authority or the engaging party has rejected this above report on account of modifications we have made to the prescribed layout, whether the evidence of rejection has been obtained from the concerned authority and has it been made a part of audit documentation. I say no. So in case I'm saying no, whether a statement containing all the relevant para of the report as prescribed by the guidance note is enclosed with the prescribed format and a suitable reference of that statement is made in the format. I say yes. Now we see that we have filled all the points, and accordingly when we go to the index file, it will show that yes, we have answered all the questions. Answer to 4 questions are no, and 6 questions are not applicable. So accordingly, this is a check. You can once again check if any of the questions have remained unanswered, or where you have answered no, you can again go to that section and check for which you have said no and reconfirm that. Now going to the last section, that is section C. This is the completion checklist. So here the last part, whether we have to see whether each and every element as stated in the guidance note, it is made a part of the certificate which you are issuing. So this is a checklist for that, whether the report is in accordance with the format provided by the guidance note, and it encompasses all these following points. So first is whether the title of the report has been mentioned as the independent practitioner's report or the independent auditor's report, in case the practitioner has been appointed as a statutory, was also appointed as a statutory auditor. Accordingly, we select yes or no. Then it has to be ensured that the phrase to whomsoever it may concern has not been mentioned in the report, as the guidance note strictly prohibits the use of such phrases. So again, we say yes. Then whether the report is addressed to the specified party along with his name and the address as per the engagement letter, whether the subject matter information to be reported upon or certified has been clearly stated in your certificate, whether the report identifies the applicable criteria against which the underlying subject matter was measured or evaluated, whether a description of any significant inherent limitations, if any, associated with the measurement or evaluation of the underlying subject matter against the applicable criteria has been made in the report. I say yes. Whether the report contains a management responsibility paragraph, whether it contains the practitioner's or auditor's responsibility paragraph, and in case the subject matter relates to data as per audited financial statements, whether the date of issue of audit report has been mentioned or not, and whether the auditor's report is modified or unmodified has been mentioned or not. And in case the auditor has issued a modified opinion which involves subject matter of this report also, whether the impact of such modification has been incorporated in this report. Then whether the report contains a statement that the engagement was performed in accordance with this guidance note. I say yes. Whether the report contains a statement that the firm of which the practitioner is a partner has applied SQC1, and whether the report contains a statement that the practitioner complies with the independence and other ethical requirements of the Code of Ethics as issued by ICAI, whether the report contains an opinion in case of a reasonable assurance or a conclusion in case of a limited assurance. We have to ensure that. Whether it contains a restriction on use paragraph, we have to ensure that. Then whether the certificate report is duly signed, mentioning the name and designation of the signing partner and the ICAI membership number. Whether the report mentions the name of the firm along with the firm registration number, place of signature and date of report has been mentioned in the report or not, UDN has been mentioned or not, and whether an invoice has been raised for the engagement or not. I suppose say no over here. So coming to the index sheet, I see that now 6 questions have remained unanswered. One has been answered as no, for as I told you, the invoice has not been issued, and the others, none of them are not applicable. Coming back to this part, the last point is regarding the documentation. You have to ensure that all these documentation are in place while you are issuing a certificate. So the engagement letter has to be there, the checklist of certificate which is being issued, which we are referring to. Then the certificate supporting evidences are there, management representation letter is there, UDN related documents are there, and the copy of certificate issued. Copy of certificate issued is there. So again, I fill all these as yes, and when I go to the index file, we see that none of the questions have remained unanswered, and one question we have said no, that it is invoice has not been issued, and none of the answers are not applicable. So this is a comprehensive checklist which you can refer when you are taking up an assignment regarding issuance of certificates. So this is a control over here. Here we will see the entire control sheet. Also the applicability you can check from here, the procedures you have to go through these and ensure that you have followed all the procedures properly, and see that the checklist contains, sorry, the certificate contains all these elements which for which you are issuing a certificate. So thank you, and I'll stop sharing this. So the last utility which one of the utility which we have is the utility on review and monitoring tool for SA compliances. So that will be taken by CA Rashika Kaushik. So I'll hand over the screen to her. Rashika, you can take.
Good evening, everyone. Today I'm walking you through the review and monitoring tool for standards on auditing compliance. This utility has been designed to help the firm strengthen audit quality by ensuring compliance with the standards on auditing. So let's begin by understanding the structure of the tool. The first sheet is the cover sheet. It introduces the tool, its purpose, and include disclaimer that ICI is not in any way responsible for the result of any action taken on the basis of the usage of this tool. Now coming to the next sheet, that is objective sheet. It introduces the tool intent, guiding auditor in using the tool and clarifying its function in the auditing process. Now the third sheet is a team sheet where you need to provide the detail of the engagement team as required under SA 220. Here you need to fill the following details. For example, the name of the firm, ABCN company, name of the client, PQR Limited, type of engagement, statutory, audit, location, Delhi, financial year 24-25, audit commencement date, say 23rd April 24, report date 30th May 24. Here you also need to mention your team details. By default, the name and designation, dummy names and designation were given. I have assumed CA Atul, designation partner. Numbers of days taken by Atul to complete the work, say 2 days. CA Jyoti, qualified assistant. Numbers of days taken by Jyoti to complete the work, say 5 days. CA Rahul, qualified assistant. Numbers of days taken by Rahul to complete the work, say 7 days. Here you also need to enter the name of the preparer and reviewer along with the date of preparation and review. I have assumed that CA Jyoti have prepared the sheet on 27th April 24, reviewed by CA Atul, the partner, on 2nd May 24. This information will be auto-populated in the dashboard. Now coming to the next sheet, that is indicative goal sheet. It is a matrix showing standards on auditing with the corresponding indicative goal as defined in the each essay sheets, and the number in this matrix are auto populated from the each essay sheet, so no manual inputs are required here. Now coming to the most important part, that is dashboard, where we have to actually work upon. So think of it as a central hub of the tool. Here the name of the firm, name of the client, type of engagement, location, financial year are auto-populated from the team sheet. Here, all 35 standards on auditing sheet are given here, which are directly hyperlinked. And from each essay sheet, you can go back to the dashboard. Subsequent to the dashboard, there are 35 sheets, one on each on standards on auditing. Coming back to the dashboard, here for each client, you can select whether the particular essay is applicable or not from the drop down yes or no. For example, essay 200, if it is applicable, I have marked yes, and the dashboard will automatically mark essay 200 essay 200 yes, and if I select no, it will mark no, that is that essay 200 is not applicable. For demonstration purpose, I have assumed that essay 200 is applicable and selected yes from the drop down. Then going to the essay 200 sheet, here 32 checks points were given along with the para reference of the essay 200. Here you need to fill the work details, work status from the drop-down, that is not applicable, yet to be start, work in progress, query raised, completed and no adverse comment, completed but with adverse comment. By default, the work status is not applicable in all the checks points, and in the subsequent each essay sheet checks point. Here you can provide the working paper reference, add comments or remark if any. The status selection in this field are auto-populated in the dashboard. You can view that total checks are 32 and the current status is 100% not applicable. That is, all 32 checks points work status is not applicable. Now going back to the SC 200 sheet, I have assumed that work status of overall objective of auditor, that is checkpoint 1, is work in progress, and preparation of financial statement yet to be start. Here you will see that the current status has been changed, yet to be start with 1, not applicable 30, and work in progress 1. Here you can provide the name of the preparer and reviewer from the drop down. The names are auto populated from the team sheet. So I have assumed that the sheet is being prepared by CA Jyoti and reviewed by CA Atul. You can also record the date of preparation and the review date. I have assumed that it has been prepared on 29th April 24 and reviewed on 15th May 24. Date of review can be same or later than date of preparation. It was considered while designing the tool. Here, the text of each essay along with its implementation guide are hyperlinked to the ICI website for easy reference. So it is a comprehensive tool help firm to ensure compliance with help firm to ensure uh, audit quality while saving time and improving documentation.
Thank you, Rashika. So these were the 5 tools which we had explained. Other than this, we have a bank branch utility also, which is mainly used during the bank branch audits. And yes, Vishal sir.
No, please continue, madam.
No, sir, it's almost over. I'm just looking if I have more questions I can take. Yes, we don't have further questions, sir.
Right. So, well, friends, you've had a detailed session on the utilities and the tools that the CAQ has prepared. And I'm pretty confident these are actually prepared for your benefit, your usage. And like I said, that these are all Excel-based tools and utilities that even the article student in your office can start using it. Let me be very honest. Initially, you might find it a bit challenging for 2 or 3 clients that you do, because you'll have to just follow the path or the guidance that has been given in each of these tools and utilities. But once you get the grip of it, once you get the hang of it, it will become very easy, and it would ensure that your overall audit efficiency and audit quality, audit documentation, everything improves. And definitely this would become a very nice set of tools that you can document and keep it in the soft copy, which would help in the peer review process also. So I think since there are no further questions, I would have one more request from the participants who are there. Like I said, that we have embarked on this journey of creating the illustrative formats of various certificates that practitioners, chartered accountants, we issue to our clients and other regulators. Our request from the CAQ is just to help us with this initiative of ours. From your side, if you want us to develop or to release the illustrative format of the certificates that you are using, you are issuing from your firm, our request is, please share with us the skeleton of that certificate. So you remove your firm names and details, you remove the client name and other details, and just the skeleton if you can mail to the CAQ, then we can definitely take that as part of our project, run it through various experts, and see to it that we come out with the illustrative format of that certificate that you have shared with us. It would be a win-win situation, because the format that you are using, you are issuing to the clients, would get vetted by a team of experts, would be vetted by the CAQ, and without naming anybody, it would form part of the illustrative format checklist. And second thing is that going forward, if any client requests for certain paragraphs to be included or certain opinion to be given, at least this illustrative format would be of the CAQ would help you in showing it to your clients that this is what the ICI has issued within the framework of the guidance note of the certificates that we have. And that will help you in convincing your clients that this is the format that from this institute has been prescribed, which is being used across the country by all the practitioners, and it would help your client in also ensuring that there is a standardization that happens across the certificates that as practitioners we are issuing to our clients. So our request from the CAQ would be that to please share the formats, the skeleton formats of the certificates that you have been issuing from your office with the CAQ. Like I said, needless to mention, full confidentiality would be maintained with respect to the name from whom where we have got the skeleton format, and it would be vetted by the experts, and we'll try to bring it as part of our publication on the illustrative formats. So that project we are coming up, and we with the support of everybody, we hope that at least 20 to 25 formats by the end of this calendar year, we are able to release for the benefit of the members and fraternity at large. So with that, thanks to Nidhi Madam and Rashika for guiding us through the last two tools and utilities. One was on the certificates, the checklist for certificates, and the other was the monitoring tool, review and monitoring tool on the standards on audit. So with that, friends, thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your presence. And do communicate with us, like I said, on the format of certificates. And with this, we conclude this 26th Quality Cafe on the walk through the tools and utilities developed by the CAQD. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And just to add on, you can mail your formats at caq@icai.in.
caq@icai.in.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.